Hi, today I'm presenting my picture book that promotes inclusion in the classroom. The Penguin Who Can is aimed for students in Year 2, and I would use this book at the start of the year to help create a positive classroom climate. It'd be used as a catalyst for further discussion and activities. The main element of this book is promoting mixed ability groupings and to encourage students to try their best, even if they have had bad experiences. It also promotes helping others out and working together as a team. The story follows Peter the Penguin, who is part of a class of marine animals that get split into strict groups based on what animal they are. Each group learns different things. This represents a teacher that separates students based on their ability level. The dolphins represent the highest level, and the levels continue to move down until we get to the penguin group, which in this story represents the lower level group. This was done as research shows that many educators around the world, including Australia, group learners based on their ability. This is done by many educators as an attempt to try to provide differences for students. The fact that they are all the same species of animal in each group also represents a possible discriminatory behaviour in grouping, where students with disabilities or low socioeconomic backgrounds are often placed in the lower level thinking groups without much testing. As the story progresses, Peter asks if he can learn what the dolphins learn. The reply he gets is not very positive, and the noisy seagull just tells him that he's a penguin, so he can't do the things that the dolphins do. This represents a self-fulfilling prophecy of ability-based grouping. Research shows that teachers develop different expectations of students based on what group they're in, and this affects the way that they teach and interact with the students. There are a lot of labels on students depending on their ability group around their capability, motivation, and future possibilities. The learning is also proven to be different, with high ability groups learning to justify, explain, and synthesize, where lower level ability groups are primarily taught by rote learning. With all these factors, it is no wonder that ability grouping is a self-fulfilling prophecy, with very few students moving between groups. With this question, Peter gets laughed at by the other animals because they know that he is in the lower group. Research shows that students are quick to catch on to what group they're in, and this often leads to social isolation among the students. Though Peter the Penguin has a lot of determination and still tries, though eventually he too starts to believe that penguins can't do jumps and flips like dolphins. This shows that students with lower level ability groups do suffer with self-esteem because of this labelling and therefore lose motivation to learn. In the story, the complication is then solved with the help of a dolphin friend and a lot of hard work, and Peter does learn to do jumps and flips. Together they create the best performance the class has ever seen, and even change the mind of the noisy seagull, who then lets everyone learn together in mixed groups. They are then all friends and everybody is happy. This is the true inclusive classroom that the students have needed. The purpose of this story is to allow students to break away from the labels that have been put on them or other students through past experience of groupings. The story is also made to encourage students to work together and help each other. The discussion after will allow students to be able to share their thoughts, feelings, and experiences, if they wish, through the use of the characters in the story. This story also sets up the expectation for what the teacher expects of the class to be like. The expected outcomes of reading and discussing this story is that students will feel that their class is a safe, supportive environment and to promote equity and excellence. The first outcome of having a safe and supportive environment is taken straight from the Australian Professional Standards of Teachers, and it is the 4th standard. The second comes from the first goal of the Melbourne Declaration on Educational Goals for Young Australians. The Australian Professional Standards and the Melbourne Declaration on Educational Goals for Young Australians are linked to international legislation, as Australia agreed to adopt the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child in 1990, which also have key principles of equity and safe environments. All these factors were key influences in making the story and when deciding what the expected outcomes would be. Our picture book was the mode chosen to encourage equity and excellence and to create a classroom environment that was safe and supportive, as research shows that it is a valuable way of promoting attitudes of respect and acceptance. It also is a helpful way for children to deal with their own difficulties or to be able to walk in the shoes of somebody else. Through observing the behaviour and emotions of characters in the story, children learn to problem solve and handle their own feelings. Discussions and activities in subjects such as art and drama are needed to enhance the positive effects of the story and give students the chance to express their own thoughts and emotions. Thank you for listening.